Okay, it's the Ottomans' second impulse. Now, the Ottomans got really good cards. You normally wouldn't get this many CP to play around with, but the Ottomans did well. So they are going to now play this card for 5 command points as well. And they're going to spend the first command point on assaulting Belgrade. So if you remember last time they sieged, but they couldn't assault on the same impulse. So now they spend 1 CP on assaulting. So how do we work out the dice? Well, the defender gets 1 dice for being the defender, and they get 1 dice for every force they have in their fortified space. So Hungary, Bohemia will get 2 dice to defend. The Ottomans, because it's in a siege, if it was a field battle, you just add up the number of men and the battle rating of your leader, and that's how many dice you get. However, because it's a siege, the attackers are less effective. First of all, cavalry do not count in a siege, so we don't count them at all, because I guess horses can't scale walls. And so we count how many we have. We've got 1, 2, 6, 7 men. And what you do is you halve the number of men you have, and that's how many dice you get. And I'm pretty sure you round down. So they get 3 dice. However, we also have Suleiman, who has a battle rating of 2, and so you get another 2 dice as well. So the Ottomans get to roll 5 dice, and the Hungary gets to roll 2. So we'll roll the Ottomans first. Okay, they got 2 hits, which is enough to destroy Hungary, but first of all, Hungary get to roll. So okay, they got 1 hit as well. So first of all, we take forces off. So the Ottomans lost 1 dude when that happened, and the cavalry was still there, even though they don't count towards dice. So we're going to kill, you choose which one you kill off, so we're going to kill off the cavalry. Now, when you lose a force, you don't put it straight back in your pool of men over there. Instead, you take it over to the turn track, and you put it on the next turn. And the reason for that is that you, if you had like heaps of forces out on the board, you can't actually raise that one from your pool until next turn. So the number of men you lose each turn affects how many men you can build as well for that turn. Okay, so the Ottomans lost 1. Hungary lost 1 as well. So that guy gets taken off. Now, because there are no more men left in Belgrade, the siege was successful. So what we do is we go over to the Ottoman power card, and we take off one of the key markers from the Ottomans, and as you can see, the Ottomans now get an extra card because of that, and also 2 more victory points. So we go over to our victory marker, and we move the Ottomans up to 10, and then we put an Ottoman key marker in Belgrade, and those men go there as well. Okay, so that all costs just 1 CP, and we still have 4 CP left. So the Ottomans are enjoying killing people, so they're going to keep on doing that. They're going to spend another CP moving into, I can't pronounce this place, Skezgen or something. Now, ordinarily, you really should take control of a space, of an unfortified space, when you move into it. And that costs another CP. The reason for that is you want to keep... Oh, actually, no, we have to do that. So what we're going to do is we are going to take political control of Szeged, now that we've moved into it. And that costs an extra CP, so 1 CP to move in, and then another CP to take political control, and that just means putting one of these little hex markers on. So we now take political control of Sezgedin, and so that was 1 CP to assault, 1 CP to move, that's 2, 1 CP to take control, that's 3, and 1 CP now to attack Buda, which is here. We're going to attack Buda. Now, this is another key, another fortified space, but Hungary has 5 troops units in there, and so they are going to fight a field battle rather than retreat into their siege, because as a minor power they have to fight a field battle if they have more than 5 men. Okay, so the Ottomans will roll 9 dice. You have 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, and Hungary rolls 5 plus 1 for defending 6. So we'll roll the Ottoman dice first, 9 dice. Okay, they get 3 hits. We'll mark that so we don't forget it. And Hungary rolls 6 dice. Whoa, Hungary did well. They got 3 hits as well. So now we take away their forces. So Ottomans lose 3, and again we put them on the turn track. And Hungary loses 3, so we'll take that and replace it with 1. Now, according to the rules, and this is specific for Hungary, Bohemia, the Ottoman power is given credit for winning a war against Hungary, Bohemia at the end of the assault or field battle, in which one of 2 things happen. Either they get activated as a Hapsburg ally, or the Ottomans control 1 key of Hungary, Bohemia, which they do, that's Belgrade, and there are 4 or fewer regulars from Hungary, Bohemia remaining on the map, which is also true because there are only 2 left. And so when that happens, the following actions take place. First of all, the Hapsburgs must intervene at no CP cost, and so the Ottomans and Hapsburgs are now at war with each other. So we need to take an at-war marker and we put it on the Hapsburgs and the Ottomans. The next thing that happens is that Hungary Bohemia is activated as a Hapsburg ally, and they can never be deactivated, which means they will always be the Hapsburg ally for the rest of the game. So we take an allied marker and we put Hungary to be allied with the Hapsburgs. Now, remember, when that happens, when a major power becomes an ally with a minor power, the major power gets all their stuff. But before that happens, let me read what other conditions take place. All Hungarian home spaces with Ottoman land units in them come under Ottoman control, including keys currently under siege. So when the field battle took place, these 2 men lost, they retreated into their key and a siege was established. And we're told that because Hungary Bohemia have been defeated, all of these forces now get taken off the board. The Ottomans take another key, and they now control Buda as well. So I knew that that was going to happen, and I played it accordingly. So it's important that you know that. Now we also need to move the Ottomans up 2 more victory points because they took another key. Okay. Hungarian units under siege were eliminated, we already did that. And then the Ottomans are awarded 2 victory points as a war winner for defeating Hungary. And so you take this 2 VP war winner counter and you place it in their bonus box. Then again, come over to the victory track and you move them up. So the Ottomans have done really well this impulse. They've taken 2 keys, which got them 4 victory points, and they won the war against Hungary-Bohemia, which gives them another 2. So they've bumped up 6 victory points just in this turn, just in this impulse, which is huge. Now remember, the Hapsburgs have become allied with a minor power, which means they get all of their stuff. So there is still a Hungarian-Bohemian key, which now belongs to the Hapsburgs. So we put a key marker there, and when we go over to consult our power card now, we go up 1 victory point. So we go to the victory marker, and we move that up 1. Now, the Hapsburgs just took control of Prague, and you see there's still 1 Hungarian force there. He stays, and he is now controlled by the Hapsburgs. Also, all these unfortified spaces, they become under control of the Hapsburgs as well. Okay, so let's just recap how many command points we have spent. We spent 1 command point assaulting Belgrade. We spent 1 command point moving here. 1 command point taking Skedon. That's 3. We used another command point moving to Buda. That's 4. That's when the field battle happened and triggered all of these other things that took place. So now there is still 1 more CP that that the Ottomans can use, and they are going to use that CP to move this guy from Athens down to Coron as well. I have a plan for those men later on. That's the end of the Ottoman impulse. Okay, it is the Hapsburgs impulse now, second impulse. They are going to play their home card, Holy Roman Emperor. If we go over to the border with the Ottomans, they're a little worried about Vienna because there's only 1 dude there, and the Ottomans are still looking fairly strong, so we want to make sure that they can't, take it. So let's have a look what the Hapsburg home card can do. If Charles V is not captured or under siege, move Charles V to any controlled Hapsburg home space not in unrest and not occupied by enemy units. Then conduct 5 command points of action. The Duke of Alva may accompany Charles if he began the impulse in the same space as Charles. So Charles is currently in Spain, and basically it means you can teleport him anywhere into his empire so long as it is a Hapsburg home space. And also we can take the Duke with us if he is in the same space as Charles, which he is. So we're going to take both leaders and we are going to place them, in Vienna. And then our home card says we can still spend 5 CP, so we're going to beef up Vienna. Now remember, it's a little dangerous to build mercenaries, so we're going to spend 2 CP on building 1 regular. We're going to spend 2 CP on building another regular, so all up that's 2 regulars, and we will spend 1 CP, and I have kind of run out of forces, so let me just exchange them for a second. Here we go. Sorry about this. I will spend 1 CP building a mercenary, and we'll put them in Vienna to defend Vienna. That's the end of the Hapsburg turn. Okay, it is now the English impulse, and we're going to learn something, another restriction about taking a key, because they want to take Edinburgh. They want to use this card here for its 5 CP. Again, England, like the Ottomans, got very good cards. Now, they want to take Edinburgh. However, if you can see, Edinburgh is a port city. It has that little port symbol there. And they also have a fleet in port. Now, one of the restrictions in assaulting a sieged city, no, a sieged fortified space, is that you cannot assault it whilst it has a naval squadron in its port, unless you have either and to stop that, you need to either destroy that naval squadron, or you can have naval superiority in the adjacent sea zone, which in this case is the North Sea. So, in other words, before I can take Edinburgh, I need to either get rid of this fleet that's in the key, or I need to have more than 1 naval squadron, which is what the Scottish have. I need to have more than that in the North Sea, and that effectively creates a blockade. So that's what I'm going to do to start with, so that I can take Edinburgh. And it doesn't hurt for me to build up my navy because I'm England. So I'm going to spend my first 2 CP on building another naval squadron here in London. I am then going to spend 1 CP on moving my naval squadron out of London into the adjacent sea zone. Now, if you look at the London port symbol, you'll see that it's above this line here. This line marks out the 2 sea zones, the North Sea and the English Channel. And so the adjacent sea zone for London is the North Sea. So they are going to move out. And remember that when you do a naval move, you can move all your fleet, all your squadrons. So I could move this guy out of Portsmouth if I want. But I don't want to do that yet. So when you do a naval move, you have to move your squadrons vertically to see if they want to intercept. Now, the Scottish, or the French, could intercept with their naval squadron because they have a naval squadron adjacent to the sea zone that England moved into. They are in port there. So they could roll to intercept if they want, but they're pretty outnumbered, and they want to make sure that England keep those ships there if they have to. So they're going to wait and see what happens with this siege. So we've spent 2 CP on building a naval squadron in London, and now we've spent 1 CP moving him out to there. So now they have effectively created a blockade, or a quarantine of Edinburgh, and so they can now assault Edinburgh. Now the same rules apply, so we count up the number of forces for England. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They did have more, but the French played that annoying Revolt in Ireland card. So they have 6, which gives them 3 dice, plus their battle rating of Henry is 1, so they get 4 dice. The Scottish have 3 forces in Edinburgh, plus they're defending, so they get 4 dice. So it's 4v4 in this battle. And now we'll roll the dice and see what happens. So it usually takes the English a few times to knock the Scottish off. The English will roll first. Okay, that's pretty good. They got 2 hits. Could have been a lot worse. So that's the English, they got 2 hits. The French, who are controlling Scotland, now roll 4 dice as well. Okay, they got 1 hit. So then we apply the losses. So the English lost 1 dude. The Scottish lost 2 dudes. And again, we place these on the turn track. And they can't be used to raise any more forces until turn 2. Now, the English have yet to destroy all the forces in Scotland. There is still 1 force there, which means the assault was unsuccessful. However, as long as the attacking force has more men than the defending one, they can still lay siege to the city. So they're going to still siege them. So remember, they spent 5 CP on all this. So they've spent 2 CP building a squadron in London, 1 CP moving them out to the North Sea, 1 CP on assaulting, and so they still have 1 CP left. And they're going to spend that CP on fighting a foreign war. And basically this is done just like a field battle. Now the reason you want to get this out of the way is because you want to get your troops back as quickly as possible. Because I don't like leaving my keys undefended like that. So we now roll the... What I should have done, and I'll just sneakily do that now, is you can add a leader to a foreign war card as well if you want. So let's just pretend I put Brandon there, because if I was a better player I would have realised that and I would have done it. Alright, so the English now get to roll 5 dice. The Irish, they have 2 land units, we're told in this card, plus because the French played it they were allowed to put 1 extra, so they roll 3. So the English are going to roll first, they're 5 dice. Oh dear, they only got 1, so we'll take that French dude off. Put him on the turn track. Okay, now we roll for Ireland, 3 dice. They got 1. Okay, so this is annoying for England. And the reason that is, let's take off a mercenary, is that if they want to raise any more troops, they first have to push this card back up to 4 troops before they can raise any more men on the mainland. So it can become a bit of a sinkhole. Okay, it's now the French second impulse, and they are going to play this card for the event, Charles Bourbon. Add a renegade leader and 3 mercenaries to any space you control that is not under siege. Now the leader is going to be removed at the end of the turn, so he's only useful for this turn, but basically the French get an extra leader and 3 mercenaries to use for this turn. So what they're going to do is they are going to place these this leader and mercenaries in Milan, because I think they're going to try and take Florence later on. So we take our renegade leader. Oh, whoops. And we take our 3 mercenaries and we add them to Milan. Notice that it says you can put it in any space you control, so it doesn't have to be a home space. And that's the end of our turn, and hopefully next turn we'll try and siege Florence. Okay, that's the end of the French impulse. Okay, it's now the papacy's second impulse. And they are going to play their second home card. Remember, the papacy get 2 home cards to play and to use each turn. And they are going to use it for the event. So they will excommunicate a Protestant reformer, and then you can also call a theological debate in the same language zone as excommunication. So there's only one reformer on the map at the moment, and that's Luther. So they are going to excommunicate Luther. And when you do that, that means you take Luther off the map and you place him on the turn track. Now, he will come back next turn. The excommunication only lasts for 1 turn, but for the rest of the turn, his bonus in Reformation attempts won't count. Also, he can't be used as a debater unless you use your Here I Stand card to sub him in. So we get to excommunicate Luther, and then we get to call a theological debate. So this will be the second theological debate that we are calling. Now, because Luther was excommunicated, he can no longer be used as a debater. Now, the Protestants have already played their Here I Stand home card. If they hadn't, they could play this again to still sub Luther in, even though he's been excommunicated. But since they've already played it, they're not going to be able to play it again. So we now have a theological debate, and the way that this works is that the papacy first draws at random 1 uncommitted debater. So Eck is already committed, he was used in the last debate. So we take all our other papal debaters and we draw one at random, and we've drawn Aleander. Okay, so Aleander is going to be our debater, and we're told that if Aleander concludes the debate, the winner flips an extra space. So he is our papal debater. Now remember, when you call a theological debate, you can choose for the defender whether to pull from the pool of committed debaters, that is, debaters who've already used their bonus and are flipped over on this side, or uncommitted debaters, debaters who haven't. Committed debaters only get 1 dice plus their debate rating. Uncommitted debaters get 2 dice plus their debate rating. Also, there's only Bucer and Karlstedt left in the committed debater side, so there's good odds that you'll get someone who's not that good. So we take them and we are going to draw at random, and we've drawn Bucer. Okay, so it could have been worse for the Protestants. They could have drawn Karlstedt. So now we add up the dice roll. The attacker, who is the papacy, they get 3 dice as the attacker, plus they get an extra dice, an extra 2 dice because of the debate rating of Aleander, so they get 5 dice. The Protestants, they get 1 dice per debate value of their debater, so they get 2 dice. Plus, because the debater is already committed, they only get 1 extra dice. So it's 5 dice to 3 dice, and we'll see how they go. So we'll get the papacy to roll first. Okay, only 1 hit. So put that there to remind ourselves. Now the Protestants. Okay, they got 1 hit as well. Now, we see that it's a tie, And in the event of a tie in a theological debate, you actually enter into a second round of debate. And what that means is that you now pick two more debaters, and you can't pick those debaters again in exactly the same way. So the papacy have to draw at random another uncommitted debater. So they will draw Cayetan, and he's not that good because he only has a debate rating of 1. But then we choose a committed Protestant debater, and Karlstadt is the only committed one left. So we pop him in as well. So it's going to be 1v1. Remember, the attacker gets 3 dice plus 1 dice for every debate rating they have. The defender, because he was committed, he gets 1 dice plus 1 dice for his rating. So we'll roll the papacy first. Okay, they got 1 hit again. And now we roll the Protestants. Well, they got 2 hits. Alright, so this did not work out well for the papacy. Even though they called the theological debate, sorry, they got 2 hits. Even though they called the theological debate, they actually lost. And what that means is that we now go over to the German-speaking language zone, because that's where the debaters came from. And the Protestants actually get to flip 1 space, because they won, even though the papacy called the debate. So they're going to flip Augsburg. Augsburg is another electorate. And they're going to take 2 men from Augsburg and place him there. And that is the end of the papacy's turn. Not a very good result for them. Okay, it's now the Protestants' second impulse. They are going to play this card for 3 CP, and what they're going to do is they're going to translate some of the New Testament into German. So they're going to spend 3 CP, 1, 2, 3, to translate the New Testament into German. Once they get to 6, they've translated all of the New Testament. And they're also going to play the debater Melanchthon for the bonus, and you get a bonus CP for translation in the German zone. So we commit Melanchthon, and we now get to do 1 extra CP of translation. That's the end of the Protestants' turn.